जय जय सुरनायक जनसुखदायक प्रणतपाल भगवन्ता गोद्विजहितकारी जय असुरारी सिन्धुसुता प्रियकन्ता पालन सुरधरणी अद्भुतकरणी मरम न जानई कोई जो सहज कृपाला दीन दयाला करवु अनुग्रह सोई करवु अनुग्रह सोई जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी विरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर द्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा जेहि सृष्टि उपाई त्रिविध बनाई संग सहाय न दूजा सो करवु अघारी चिंत हमारी जानिय भगति न पूजा जो भव भय भंजन मुनि मन रंजन गंजन विभति बरूधा मन बच क्रम बानी छाड़ी सयानी सरन सकल सुर जूधा सरन सकल सुर जूधा शारद श्रुति शेषा ऋषय अशेषा जातहु कोई न जाना जेहि दीन पियारे वेद पुकारे द्रवहु सुश्री भगवाना भव बारिधि मंदर सब विधि सुंदर गुण मंदिर सुख पुंजा मुनि सिद्ध सकल सुर परम भयातुर नमत नाथ पद कंजा नमत नाथ पद कंजा जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी विरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर द्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा.
Everything in the design of Maya is so that we can get involved. We can get involved with the objects that we perceive with our senses. We can get involved, of course, with our thoughts, with our emotions, with the perceptions of pleasure and pain. So, the spiritual tools are so that we can get that involvement out of ephemeral worldly things into the presence of the Atma, the presence of the being in our heart. So, in that way, this force field that I've been talking about has the ability to pull everything inside, if we just make sure that we're not getting too involved with things on the outside. You've seen that, isn't it? It has its own momentum as well. So with the japa, at least you must have seen by now that many times you forgot about it, but it starts on its own, isn't it? Notice? Is it? So this also takes on its own power, its own momentum. But as long as we want to keep getting involved with phenomenal things, you see, which means to believe the narrative, believe the story, and put ourselves in as a construct of the stories, then the inward movement may not seem to happen that organically. So the tools of prayer, the tools of inquiry are very beautiful to put all of this focused in the heart altar where God's presence is and can be felt. So this is what it means by turning inwards, facing God. See? So empty to the world, empty to the me, and naturally gravitating towards the heart center, towards the presence of God. And when it seems difficult, which it will do most of the time because Maya is compelling, you see, then to use the prayer and to use the inquiry to keep cleaning up, going. Yeah? Yeah. So have you noticed that almost every moment the mind is offering you something to get involved with? You'll say, what about this? You see, it's a constant whataboutery. Constant whataboutery going on. What about this? What about this? You see? And that is all designed to take you away from discovering the truth of what you are, the truth of God's light in your heart. And once you know this, you must not allow the tricks to work. Maya can be overcome. And who is going to overcome it? You are. Everyone can, universally. But grace puts some few in places where they are open to hearing this insight. And it's important for us to then follow. Everyone can relate with this experience. We want to get involved constantly with worldly things, with our thought narratives, with our emotions, what we are feeling, you see, with our memories, imagination, all of this. So to offer ourselves up completely means this. Completely means the entire antakarna, the entire, all the layers of our existence to be offered up to God fully. But it's not as complicated as it sounds. You just have to not attach to worldly things and keep your focus on God. If you were meeting where the ocean arises from, suppose it was like that, that there was a point of contact from which this entire ocean of Maya arose, you see, then would your exploration be at the surface of that ocean to find out the truth, or to dive into the surface? Huh? To dive deep within, isn't it? What's at the bottom of this? What's at the core of this? What's before time and space? But it is designed to keep the surface very attractive, you see, very compelling. So then we're always going back to the surface, the story of the me, what's happening to me, what is my story, what is my narrative. And then that keeps us occupied away from fully diving into this extremely auspicious and beautiful opportunity that all of us have to live in a different way, not focused on the surface of perceptions, but at the source of all creation. Is it going to be difficult? Many times. Because it looks like you're in this four-dimensional movie theater where the movie is constantly playing, and you have a narrative, you have a storyline. You have a story arc, isn't it? You start from the birth of a body to the death of a body. So you take yourself to be that object who was born and that object who is going to die. And as long as we stay involved in that storyline and put more and more objects in that storyline, that remaining, the discovery and the remaining in that true place, in the true light, will seem impossible. Then what happens is that even our questions in satsang become about the object, about the lifeline, life story of the object. About worldly things. Leave, 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 leave the narrative. Can't leave? Can't. Then it becomes less and less attractive, you see. The storyline seems less and less attractive because the treasure that you're discovering within yourself keeps pulling you in. If there was nothing there, then why does it pull you in? The world is where everything is happening. Huh? The world is where everything is happening. But all of you decided that you are going to be focused inwards. Why did you decide that? If it's just a limbo or blank space, then what compels you to look within? So whether you know it or not, something which is extraordinary, it's supernatural, it is God's presence, is sitting there. And whether in this faith that He is there, you remain inward facing, independent of what experiences are showing up or not, or it seems like it is so alive and palpable, You see? From our side, both are the same. From our side, both are the same in the sense that that's all that we can do. There is no light switch that you can go and turn on. I've turned inwards 10,000 times. Now the light should come on. You see? But I am telling you, and you must know by now, that God knows. God knows if you are sacrificing, even if it seems like a sacrifice, actually it is a blessing, but sacrificing every moment of your life, or trying to sacrifice every moment of your life for Him, to be present to Him, you see? And you feel like He must not value that fact that even though He may not be perceivable yet or palpable yet, we still turn. Isn't it? Huh? And that is what I mean, that what we do in the sand is more important than what we do in the honey. Because when the honey is there, it's all easy. It's easy. Easy. Of course, we can be stubborn enough that even when it is palpable and alive and full of love and peace and joy, all of that, we can still distract ourselves with the world. Of course, we have that stupidity in us, but I feel a higher exercise of faith is when we cannot testify to any of this, and still in our faith we can be with Him, turn towards Him. Okay? That takes a lot of trust, it takes a lot of faith. To offer up all of ourselves, every layer of our existence, to offer that to Him without even first being able to testify to His reality, is a pure leap of faith. So we must take that leap of faith. But as long as we take ourselves to be this objective entity, this body mind, we are proud about something in our story, then all of this seems far-fetched. Or the mind will create a mental version of all of this, an imagination about all of this, and it will feel like we are on this sort of progressive path. It is a progressive path in a sense, but the steps are not perceivable. It's a deepening of love, but we can't really say from where to where we've come and how much is there to go. You all getting a sense of what I'm saying? Sense from your own experience, from your own inside. You can see this at work, Maya at work, always compelling you to turn towards the world, always compelling you to turn towards making your story, adding something to your narrative. That seems to be the most important exercise for us. But to let go of these thought patterns, to not believe them, and to just remain empty of the me and surrender to God, head empty and heart full, is what is needed. So is this moment about the me or about God? Me or God? Me or God? Or me or empty? If you're empty, then naturally you will gravitate towards God. As long as you at least started to see this push and pull, you're getting a sense of what I'm saying. Can you see it? Every moment you can see that? That's it. So this is the lifelong project. It gets easier, but you can never be conclusive about its ease. Like nobody can say, I have left Maya forever. That is usually the start of trouble. Only God is Maya Rahit, free from Maya. So when the sages tell us to be vigilant, this is what they are talking about. Don't get involved in the story, don't get involved in anything Maya is offering. Offer it all up to God's presence, whether you feel it is tangible, palpable or not. To simplify that in a way, suppose you were to look at a table in your house. Suppose you were to look at a table in your house and you were completely without money, you were completely broke, you had no money, but you wanted to make that table an altar for God. But you cannot afford any of the tools that we use as reminders of God, whether they are pictures, whether they are even quotes or sayings from scripture, nothing. Yeah? But in your heart, you feel like God is there and you're offering yourself, you're bowing down, keeping your head at the table, bowing down. You see? And people may look at you and say, what are you doing? This table is empty. Do you feel that God would not get your prayer because the table is empty? So our job is to turn that in that way inwards, not be concerned about what is the experience that we are having. That needs faith, isn't it? And what is to turn inwards? With what? With what instrument? Am I saying that we must spend our entire life eyes closed and maybe if we can, but no, I'm not really saying that. You see, what is this turn inwards? You have the sense already, isn't it? It's beyond words. It's like a turning in. But it's not necessarily just with attention. It's like the ability to focus our intuitive abilities, you see, of turn towards our intuitive light. Like when you are in love, does it mean that your eyes are always closed so you can, that's when you notice the love? You just know it. And I'm talking about that love which is beyond just being a feeling. Like you can experience the feeling as a phenomena, but there's a deeper sense of love, which is like a still waters. Sometimes they overflow as feelings. In the same way, there's a deeper, still place within yourself where you can stay by not putting your focus on the false, by not being involved in the false. You can't have it. This is one thing you can't have both ways. Because the lane is narrow. If the focus on me, then even if we say that this me is for God, but the emphasis is always on the me, then we will keep missing the main point, which is to make God the central focus. And I want to tell you all that there is no room for despair, for despondency. You have to treat yourself as a beginner every moment. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. Just now, now, just now, God. So this inward turning and remaining as much as we can is what I've been calling to construct or build the temple in your heart, to focus on the heart altar within. Who lives over there? Does it still sound fantastical when I ask this question and you know where the answer is going? Who lives over there? For all of us. Is presence is not in question. His presence is not in question. Nobody can live without the Atma. Isn't it? It's not his presence which is in question. So he is there, whether by his grace he reveals himself in that way, is all up to his grace. But for thousands and thousands of years, sages have found that when they detached from the world and the narratives of the me, that is when they found that the revelation happened. But can somebody give you a template, a rule book saying, do this 5,000 times and guaranteed? Nobody can. So the revelation of the Atma within, the revelation of the Holy Spirit, is not something that we can take to be an outcome of a mechanical process, a scientific experiment, none of these things. It's beyond this world. But the ingredients which seem to have worked for our brothers and sisters in the past, those ingredients we mentioned in Satsang, and those which seem to be so clearly arising from the heart, those we mentioned in Satsang, so that we set the table well for God's presence. See? But remember one thing, that our job doesn't change. Our job doesn't change. It may actually seem easier. You see? But our job is to always turn inwards. The world is full of examples of sages or people who came to this discovery and then turned back into Maya. And the great supervillains in our history, like Ravana, are probably testament to that. So it is not useful for getting credit, for the world to respect you, for you to get disciples, for any worldly purpose. You see? But it is useful for your inner journey to deepen. And if we try to use it in that way, that which is in the sanctum sanctorum of our heart, we try to use that presence for worldly benefit, it's the silliest possible thing. What's a good metaphor for it? It's like saying that I've got some nice Dharwad Pida, and now the character that I'm watching in the TV screen should feel happy. You'll get there if you just give it a minute. So it's like that. We don't expect Maya to give us benefits if we are coming to a reality which is beyond Maya. Because the one that is coming to this presence, coming to this insight, coming to the truth of who they are, does that one have a name? Does it have a form? Can anyone say, oh, Ananta did it, he made it, or this one did it, or that one did it? No? Maybe just conversationally, but it's not possible for any Ananta to do. The one that turns inwards is the one that is sitting in the heart. Don't try to understand this. And that one is not the name for your body-mind, not the form of your body-mind. The wagging of the tail or the rattling of the rattlesnake's tail, it caused itself a lot of suffering. Now the rattlesnake itself is eating its own tail. So don't expect I'm stretching the metaphor too far as always, but don't expect the shadow of the snake to benefit out of that. You have a sense of where these metaphors go? Or?
I didn't get the snake bit at all. Especially that rattlesnake eating its tail. Just leave this part. Everything else is smooth sailing to that.
That's not bad actually. Even till then is good.
Anybody else?
Everyone else is wondering, he said smooth sailing till then? You have a sense, no? Some of you have a sense of what I'm saying about this. So what I said was that it's nothing for the person, the imagined one, to take credit about. You see? So the I am, God's presence itself, God's being itself, being the entirety of the snake, then the tail of the rattlesnake being the I am something identification, cause suffering or the play of suffering to happen. And now coming to satsang, turning inwards, it is like the snake or the I am itself, which is dissolving the somethingness into itself. You see? And in the dissolution of that I am something into the I amness itself, it seems like this process of spirituality is deepening. Now the shadow of the snake is this body-mind identity that the persona that we take ourselves to be. And we must not expect any benefit to happen to the shadow because of that process which is unfolding. And that is where many of us get trapped. So what is it happening for me? Is it not happening for me? These are very compelling things because every day in satsang, if you're hearing that God's presence is there and you just feel like, oh, but I'm not finding it, it can sound disappointing personally, but we must not fall into that kind of despair and traps of the mind. Now the metaphor makes more sense. Yeah.
Father, it just feels like what you're saying is that in the being, there's the light and the intelligence and God, the divinity, and then there's the form of the body. And the mistake was for the thought arising in the being that I am the body. So what we're basically doing is we're sort of saying, okay, now that thought also came from somewhere and was actually the thought content of the thought itself was emptiness, and it was just a thought and believed in. So then try to just let it go, and then you're just left in then the tail is you broke the connection, you've severed the connection between the body and
So
the thought I.
the something
Yeah.
is like the rattling tail of the rattlesnake.
Just left alone.
So now either we leave it alone. So if it's not what we don't perceive, then that doesn't bother us. So that is to remain open and empty. So we just let it go, or we inquire into that somethingness Like, is there a something? Who is this I? Is it? So the something dissolves, or that something is offered up completely. All its what does the something survive on? On the idea of individual will, on the idea of individual separate existence. So to sacrifice its will, to sacrifice all that it thinks it has, to surrender that to God, is also another way of freeing ourselves from the something. The I am freeing itself from the idea of I am something. So whichever way we do it, it's all pathways to God. All pathways to I am empty of the oppression of the somethingness. So what the mind will try to get you to do is to make even your this process, make it about the something. Okay? Notice that? Then it becomes about my journey, my recognition, my realization, my progress. Okay? And then what happens? If this my is there, then other will also be. You see? You see? And there's nothing in the world where if you have a progress chart for yourself, you have like so many other people who are doing better than you. Nothing in the world. Yeah. When it comes to anything, you will always find that there are people who are seemingly doing better than us. You see, and we will of course not focus on the so many who are worse off than us. We will always find a way to feel jealous. We'll find a way to make ourselves antagonistic to our brothers and sisters. So if you make it my journey, my progress, my spirituality, my God, then they'll always feel like, oh, but I'm not doing as well as the other. Or can be proud also actually. Yeah, I'm doing the best. So don't get caught up in these things. Yes, even thoughts are all God's thoughts. Everything is God. Everything is from God. And even the process of deluding ourselves in this way is God's. And the process of returning from the delusion is God's. But the movie is obviously more fun if he has also injected us with this pretense of will. The feeling of separation also comes with the feeling of individual desire, duality, doership. For so many years we've talked about the 3D ego, desire, duality and doership. So as it is playing this game, it is also given for itself these tools to make the game seem more compelling. So as long as we identify ourselves as objects within this game, the knowledge that all of it is God's doesn't help us. Maybe it is like mildly reassuring somewhere, but actually in our moment-to-moment, day-to-day life, it doesn't help us. It only becomes a sort of conceptual spirituality where we can use that to hide from God or use that to hide from the work that we have to do for inquiry and surrender, hide from the seeming difficulties in the spiritual path. So another way to look at this is that we are all Krishna. All of us are Krishna. But does any of us right now feel like they can pick up a Govardhan Parvat? So till we can do that, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's like Ma saying, no? Anandamani Ma said, somebody asked her, so how is it that all these sages like Durvasa and all these people also got so angry, and they were supposed to be great sages, that they would, with their sharp, the curses, they could turn something into ashes. So she said that they also had the power to bring them back to life. You see? So till you don't have that power, you don't have the right to get angry. Because if we use that conceptual spirituality for a very high seeming understanding, it doesn't help us when the rubber hits the road. Because all these concepts are the first to leave us when life is squeezing our throat. Then all conceptual knowledge of oneness with God is the first to go, isn't it? Otherwise, you won't feel like it is squeezing your throat in the first place. So that which we understand or we heard in satsang, that has to become our lived experience, our moment-to-moment reality. Well, there's a difference between conceptually knowing that God is here and truly offering ourselves up fully more and more, so that one day it becomes our true insight, our true lived experience. Otherwise, satsang would be very short. God is in your heart, He is everywhere. Just know this, bye-bye. But that process of decoupling from that force field of Maya, to stay fully committed and to fall in love more and more with Him in our heart, to surrender ourselves more and more to Him, to inquire deeper and deeper into the nature of our reality. That is what is important. So the day you start to realize that you're not to value what you think you understand, you're not to value that which you think you understand, but only that which is clear for you in your heart and not in your understanding, that will be the day where you embark on a spiritual project in earnest. Because our head is too tiny, it's too primitive, and it is too linear. You see, everything has to be straight line for it to fit in our head. A plus B, you see, has to be A plus B, it can't be A plus C. Like the fifth cannot fit into our head. So as you come to satsang, even if you spend the whole day just being mental about something, about your story, about some whatever narratives are playing out, just as you come to satsang, just breathe it all out. Just come to like a free space. Then the meeting can be a lot more alive. Swami Ramathaji said something very beautiful. He said, God is the only thing you can get. Of course, the term thing is used loosely, but only thing you can get by turning towards Him. It's a beautiful thing to say. Like, can I quench my thirst just by turning towards the water? No. Can I acquire some worldly possession just by turning towards it? I also have to act on it, I have to plan for it, I have to do. You just turn towards God and He's yours. Of course, he didn't tell us for how long you have to be turned towards Him. And nobody can. Because that's where grace comes in. Actually, in the world also nothing is determined that way. You'll say, okay, I got lucky or unlucky with Him. But here it is a question purely of grace. But our job is to turn. And our faith tells us that if we turn, He knows that I'm turning. But it's very important कि हम मेरा तेरा छोड़ दें. मेरा तेरा is me and you, mine and yours. All this we have to leave from our life. As much as we can. Be empty of these stories. Because if your heart temple is clouded with all these things, then the revelation may get clouded as well. If you want to do me and others, say all good to the other, all affliction to me. सब सुख मेरे भाइयों बहनों का, सब दुख जो उनका भी है मुझे मिल जाए. Even just this, I know I'm saying just this, it may seem very big, but this itself will help you to create such a deep spirituality. Because spirituality and pride, selfishness, all these things can't be together.
Two things to share.
Yeah. But ask me, you know me well enough to ask one at a time.
No, Father, what you just said, no, sab sukh mere bhaiyon behnon ka and sab dukh mera. It's easy to say yes. In fact, this is the second part. So, because I was just going to ask you, because I've seen that when I pray for the other, or when I'm offering something to the other, I'm most, I'm just, it's presence is clear, or I'm just that when I pray for somebody else, Father, it just comes alive.
Okay,
But
so the first part first. So easy to say. So can we say it every day? Let's say it every day. So when we say it every day, I don't know if it seems easy to all of you, but start by saying it every day, even if it is lip service. Then when you're saying it, it will deepen. Because many times the mind just discards these things by saying that, oh, but that's easier said than done. Okay, so start. Start with easy. You see, but it doesn't let us start by saying, oh, I can say it, but who can really mean these things, right? You see? No, so let's start easy. Every day when you pray in the morning for God's presence, pray like this. Even if it's just mechanical.
Even this, the anger thing that you asked us to check.
Now which one?
The anger thing that you'd asked us to check when I feel like I set myself up for failure every day because something or the other just will irritate me about a delivery person will call and that'll irritate me just every day
Right,
when
but as long as you're working on it, are you working on it, or there's the mind compartmentalized it and said, impossible, this can't be done?
I'm working on it, I pray.
Yeah.
Like
But
in
like
that
when you
moment.
get irritated, just notice yourself
Yeah.
and say, this is that irritation which the Father is telling me about in Satsang. Just like that we notice, and then it becomes, every time you notice like that, it becomes distant from you. More and more distant. You see? And that's how I am working on it, and I feel like I'm making tiny progress. We just make that tiny steps. You see, every day. That's all we can do. But be very careful of this voice which says, oh, easier said than done. Okay, start. See?
I was going to ask you something
Yeah.
more with
Yeah.
this, a little while earlier before you said this. This really caught my attention.
Okay. The second part, firstly, that is slippery territory. Slippery territory in the sense that with full integrity and sincerity, pray for it for your brother and sister. Full this thing. Because otherwise, if you conclude too much that is when it helps me, then very quickly it will become a tactic to help yourself in the guise of praying for another. See? So that famous example of what you resist, you persist. What you resist persists. You see? So then you realize, I'm not going to resist it. You see? Then it won't persist, it will die. You see? But if the intention is for it to die, then it won't happen like that. You see? Because in that non-resistance, that resistance is embedded that you're waiting for it to die. That's why these tactics don't work like that. See what I'm saying? So you may notice it, like many say, no, that like if you resist the ego too much, it persists. You see? So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to resist it, and then it'll die. You see? Or I'm going to love my ego, and it'll die. You see? So then we fake this love because actually, is it love if you're waiting for something to die? If you're waiting for that to die, then you actually more than hate, no? So, but we try to put on this guise, and we feel like our ego itself won't recognize this guise. It is itself playing that game. You see? And we like, I'm going to love my ego to death. You see, it doesn't happen like that. And this sort of new age spirituality is full of tactics like this, which just don't work. So never consciously include the second part, that the only way that I will be helped is if I help another or pray for the other, because then it will become just a way to help yourself. Just with integrity, mean it with as much integrity as you can muster.
But,
Yeah, see?
but I mean it, Father.
Yes,
When
I know. In the beginning, it starts like that. In the beginning, it starts with good intention and all of that, but soon the mind tricks us into saying, now if you're going through this pain, so what you have to do is you have to pray for another, then your pain will go away. You see? So then it becomes about me again. So that's why I'm just saying, let it happen organically, but you don't conclude that that's what happens. You getting a sense of what I'm saying?
it's almost feeling very selfish in the guise of
Huh?
offering something
Then it
or
can
the
become like
other.
that. No, it
Yeah.
can become convoluted if we leave it to the
Yes.
mind for some time. That which starts with pure intention can easily become into some convoluted tactic to help ourselves. Or look at it this way that did you get new specs as well? Okay. So look at it this way that no matter what you may say about smoking, you know that at least whatever it may be doing, it's not helping your lungs. You see? So whether to quit helps your lungs, whether to drink a certain type of other water helps your lungs, all that stuff is unimportant. You know that smoking is not helping your lungs. You see? So in the same way, to do this, me and you and me and you and me and you, and to be selfish about life does not help your spiritual journey. It does not help the revelation of God in your heart. Just simple like that.
Before, I just want to say, before you said this, it was actually making it so holy. It was making it into a thing that I must pray more and more for the other, and it's ultimately again helping me, and it's like
And
one
soon then
can
the
make
intention becomes to help me,
help me.
which is fine. Then just pray for yourself, it's fine. And just that round is, you have to be careful. So tricky. Father, you say when we feel God's presence in our heart, to contemplate deeper, to know separation. Is it possible to please guide us in this contemplation? Is it possible? No. Is it possible? No, because when we get there, no, then all words actually, what words can help us? It's just, I don't have any words like that. I can just point you to that point. And all that inner work, no, inner working has to happen in the discipleship, in the quiet discipleship of the Atma within. The quiet discipleship means that there comes a point where the teaching and the learning will happen wordlessly, just remaining in the presence of the teacher within. Because words can at best point to that, but once you come to the presence, how to deepen in the contemplation of oneness, can't really, words cannot penetrate such a place. So you keep saying that 99.9% of satsang is wordless. In a way, the job of the outer seeming teacher is just to deliver you to the Atma within, to the Sadguru presence within. I'm just a courier. It's a courier. Danzo. Try to pluck you from Maya and deliver to Atma. Just that. And I do a terrible job of it. It's fully imperative in our life to use every power that we have to let go of this me story, this attack and defense and all this may seem like we are making some headway in the world, we are making our point known, we are being proved right, and all of these things. But what is it in the eyes of God? It's only because we are taking the unreal to be real and the real to be unreal. So we can keep being involved in all this for the next 50 years also. And then what will happen? Every moment wasted is a precious opportunity wasted. I don't know.
I don't even need to know how to do the sadhana better. That also I don't need, is it?
Are you having any trouble in your sadhana, in your turning inwards?
Knowing how to do it better.
In the sense that, are you feeling like you're not able to turn inwards or stay like that?
I feel at some point the me needs to be taken care of, and I don't know if I don't do it.
Acha.
How?
But that's not about your sadhana better. That was a bait and switch.
Wait.
You know what a bait and switch? So, do I need to know how to make my sadhana better? So then I said,
Was the wait?
that was the bait. And then and I said, but are you having any trouble in your sadhana, which is to turn inwards and to remain like that? He said, no, I just want to know about who will take care of this me if I don't take care of it. So that was the switch. Because that was not the original question. So is it about a sadhana or about taking care of the me?
Will I not be able to do my sadhana better if I know how the me gets taken care of?
No.
What to do with that concern about the me? Just keep ignoring it.
Yeah.
Body needs food, even that.
It's been coming on.
It's about this only.
No food is there.
No, last night. So I was doing the ADS, and then that pull of Maya was there. You know, it's getting late, restaurants are closing, you need to order food, nobody's at home, all that, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the other side about having faith in God and He'll take care. And this restaurant, it keeps going back and forth, that concern. And I'm like, so if I just sit down and keep doing the ADS, then how will the food come? Who will bring it?
Has it not come so far?
No, in the end what happened was I ended up in one rush I ordered. And it did come. But was that a bad way of doing so? Was that to not have faith?
So, like my family is traveling now, I may have to order food. But if you allow it to unfold, you see, there's a difference between using the notion of unfolding as an excuse for the mind and for it to actually, you see. And if you start living like this, no, you will see that it's quite absurdly miraculous how things work. You see? In the sense that if you just live on that, you move me, you guide me, then either he moves you like that, on Swiggy or Zomato or whatever, or it just comes, what is needed comes.
This one,
So how absurd does that sound?
That's the excuse I gave myself to
In
order.
the sense that when I say that he just moves you like that, so suppose that I said, okay, he doesn't even move you like that, it just comes. How absurd does that sound? Very absurd. So then start like that, where you say that let's allow him to move me or guide me as to when to order the food or what has to be ordered. You see? Then as you deepen more and more and more, you will see that.
Was that him moving me? That's my question. Was that him moving?
That only you can tell. Because he could be moving you, or you could have gotten into some mental like fear or some just mental rushing.
In what, like I've asked you this many times, I know, but you say the presence is like, how can you tell when he's moving? And you said the presence will be apparent, and then presence is there, and then
Not necessary that you just know that it's not rushed, it's not grasping, it's not. It's like the presence of peace and love is unmoved in that process. You see, it's not. It doesn't seem like you are the doer of that action. All these. Like right now, your head is moving, but it does not seem like you're doing it. No? Now, post-facto,
like difference between me doing and presence doing, it's not clear, and I don't need to know that.
just keep it very simple. Keep your forehead relaxed. Don't worry about anything. Have I shared with all of you? Is forehead relaxed? Maybe not the new one. Just don't make any lines on your head. That's all. Simplest pointing. Not like that. It may seem like, as an instruction, it may seem very simple. You just observe yourself, you quickly start making that orange juice in your head. I used to take this metaphor, no? Some of you will remember, that every thought is like an orange. You have to just let it go. Don't squeeze it in your head. Notice, no? Notice the squeezing. You start notice that involvement, the giving belief, that is to get involved in Maya. The rest is being taken care of. You see? Because otherwise you will make that a different position saying, I'm not going to do it. It has to happen. I am going to do it because it won't happen. You see, both these are like that. Head empty, heart full. Everybody is instantly looking a lot more relaxed. We should start satsang like this. No making mental orange juice. See, Anoop's face is only changed. He just chilled out.
I mean, 2 months back, I remember that. I skipped satsang for a week. So then I made some rules that I will not break it, like doing ADs in the morning first, then coming to satsang. I made a note, lot of this and that. But now, 2 weeks back, my work spiked. First week it was overwhelming. Then I just told to God, okay, now I'm going to go. You have to catch me. And that day somehow,
You're going to go away, man. You're going to go far from spirituality.
yeah. And that day somehow, he made things very simple. And I did come to satsang. I remember that week when the work was on the peak, I did come to satsang. But then maybe, I don't know what, I'm just still analyzing that. Was it some pride or I don't know what? Somehow The week after that, it was totally out of control. Means I didn't feel like doing ADS in the morning. Morning at 6:30, I get up, start work. It was just like that. So
It happens sometimes. That ebb and flow is there sometimes, but you start getting a sense if you're going too far into Maya. No, you start getting a sense, but it's not. Even here, the ebb and flow happens like that. Sometimes it's like full fire. Sometimes it's just more relaxed. It's okay. Mostly you can trust this. It's like working out. No? You have the workout, then you have recovery, then you have workout, then you have recovery. It's a bit like that also. Because when we become too mental about our sadhana also, then we'll find ourselves burning out.
that's a basic check.
Yeah, that basic check is good.
Even that you don't follow when you are into this work.
Yeah, if you started checking on yourself in this way, I don't feel like still have the check, but I don't feel like you'll run very far. We really run when we don't realize these things. Where the turning away from God seems organic, then we don't realize. Yeah, Botox Satsang. I said, keep your forehead relaxed. They have this injection. One child said to me this morning, on the first few messages I opened, this child said, he said, I swear sometimes I hate you, Father. So I said, okay, good morning. So then what is that happened? What was it about? He was feeling conflicted. Conflicted about, to make it simple, let's just say, conflicted about like the ways of the mind or the way of the heart that he gets to hear in satsang. And that seems very squeezing at times. Like nothing in the world makes sense. Is it really helping? What is he even saying? So it can happen that way. So we said, but how do I really know that I can trust you, I can believe you? And how do I know which is my mind and which is my heart? So I said to him that you're clearly conflicted. On one hand, you're saying, I hate you. On the other hand, you're also writing to me for help without even saying, help me. You see? So, which is that part which is writing to me in spite of the apparent hate? You see? What is that one saying? So, trust that one that brings you to satsang. Trust that one which makes you turn to God. It doesn't have to be this satsang. You can hate me, that's okay. As long as you turn to God, it's okay. Yeah. So find that within yourself which longs to go deeper in His love, longs to go deeper in His presence, that which your mind cannot explain. Try to live over there in the unknown. Otherwise, you spend your whole life in the known. It's going to be a wasted life. Live in that part of yourself where you're like an innocent child, everything is unknown. Otherwise, we'll spend our whole life, you know the story of the elephant and the six blindfolded men or blind men? Everybody will say, one will say it's a pillar, one will say it's a rope, one will say this happened, one will say that happened. Nothing really happened. Just waste your time determining all of this, trying to label truth into things which cannot be determined. And you'll miss out on completely different life which you could have had. Wasted opportunity of this life. If you really understood just that one simple story of the elephant and six blindfolded men, then that would be end to most conflict, most arguments in the world. Because who can really determine the nature of something? Only one who has the full information. Who can see the full elephant? Only from your heart. Do you really want to spend your life saying it was a rope, another one saying it's a pillar, another one saying it's a water pipe? You really want to spend your whole life in that argument? No. So try to determine the nature of what is happening, what happened through that very limited lens. Will keep you stuck in this. Dive into the unknown. Your mind is very scared of that. Everything else is just a facade, just tactics to avoid you from diving deep within. You don't know what to do? Relax. There was a question on how does reading the Ramcharitmanas help remain as the self or remain in God? Simple answer is because one of the greatest sages told us that it does. You see? And he said that anyone who reads the scripture, tries to read the scripture, their life will be blessed with auspiciousness, with all that is mangal, all that is auspicious. So that is the simplest way that a great sage like Tulsidas Ji would not be lying to us. And to have faith in that is good. But just notice for yourself as you stay with this holy book, what happens internally, inwardly. Okay, Shivoham wants to come up. Let's go to Shivoham. Hello? I don't hear you yet.
You hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, long time no see.
Wow, yeah, it's too much.
I see you, but I don't. You
Yeah,
haven't. come up for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to come up because for the next few weeks I will be working, so I don't know if I will be able to. And so, yes, I just wanted to come and see what because I was thinking, oh, I was I should say hello, I should say this and that, and so, but I just wanted to come and yes and say I don't know what. Just that I love you so much, Father,
Love you too.
and yes, and I've been praying and all this. Uh, yes, the pray the to pray and to have faith somehow has become, I don't know, a way to, even in the darkest moments, to in the darkest,
Yeah.
not nothing so dark, but in the doubts moments, to have faith has become so beautiful somehow. So even though maybe, as you were saying today, that though maybe no big effects or nor big revelations are there, but the faith and and the feeling that God is here always is somehow is giving so much strength. And yes, and yeah.
It's very good. Very good.
And
Very.
the other day, Ilaria told me we should go to Bangalore in January.
Oh yes, that's
Yeah,
nice.
she told me that. And so I trust that.
Very, very good. Very good. It was very nice to meet her parents also when we
Yeah,
came.
yeah.
And so, does this mean that you both have your passports now?
She has her passport. Yeah,
Oh yes, that's good.
yeah, yes, yes.
Very good. But I'm very happy to hear your report that it doesn't have to be big revelations, big fireworks, but if you can say that in the moments of lack of faith, of doubt, of this darkness that Maya surrounds us with, if you're taking God to be more real, having more faith in His presence now than before, that is very beautiful. It's very important.
Yes, that has been my experience in the last year somehow. No, to
Very good. Very good.
yeah. And I pray to be able to come and just and sit with you and the family there. And yeah,
You're always welcome. Always
and
welcome.
love you.
Love you so much. And when you're away, remember to pray. Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you, thank you so much.
Very good. My love. Very good. You're away for how many weeks, you said?
No, well, I will work here nearby the house, but I will be working in the hours of satsang. So from Monday
Friday.
to to Friday. Yeah. So I will work with the childs.
I
I'll be
see.
doing art
Oh, that's
laboratories.
nice.
Yes, very
Very
nice.
nice.
Yes. It's
Very,
very nice. Yes.
very good. All my love, all my blessings to
Thank you, Father.
you for your work and Ilaria family, everyone. Everyone.
Mwah.
Love you, love you.